Hello and welcome back to our family channel called Back to Sicily. I'm Sylvester, the dad, who along with our son Leonardo and daughter Lucia, we are hoping to be able to, at some point in time, sometime next year, 2021, to be able to travel to Sicily, back to Sicily, and pursue this travel adventure, family travel adventure plan that we have to see if we can squeeze in a bit of time to spend out in Italy and do some research and visits to their roots and to the family heritage that leads them back to their maternal grandparents' family tree. So for today, given that this is our ninth videotaping episode, what I thought I would do is something that just happened sort of in a concentrated level this past week, that I thought I'd just share with you again as we are in the middle of this transition. I used this photograph that I found of my older brother, who is 2 years older than I am, and it's a photograph that was taken in 1958 when he was 4 years old and I was 2. And that was about the year before our parents completed their studies at the University of Minnesota and went back to the Philippines, where I grew up from age 2 and almost 3 until 12. And then, of course, I came back to the States and finished 8th grade here in Connecticut. And then I went to high school in Western Mass. I went to college in Central Massachusetts, and then, of course, I joined the Navy, which part of that story you've already seen parts, a little bit of it in some of the introductory videotapes that we published earlier. So for today, given that this thumbnail that I produce is called 64 years old in this year, 2020, which I turned 64 in last month, late November, and will be turning 65 next year in 2021. And what I found in the middle of doing the research with how we continue to put together some content that would be interesting, as well as the whole learning process on how to make videos, better videos, more interesting videos, more interesting content for you is full of a lot of different categories which I've been able to uncover in my search. So anyway, this past week, the fact that I turned 64 and then in anticipation of turning 65 next year, there is this fact of life, I guess, here in the U.S. that all 65-year-olds in the U.S. will be eligible to join the Medicare health program, which is supposed to be free, paid by the government, except it only covers 80% of your potential expenses, which is just mainly hospitalization, what they call brick and mortar, the actual physical stay in a hospital or in a hospitalization type setting. It could be a clinic for an operation or some length of medical care, and there are different categories of how that all works out. Nonetheless, the important part is there's a part B, which is supposed to be the last 20% of the costs are to be borne by the individual. And so what happens is you have a whole bunch of insurance companies competing in the marketplace, trying to win over 64-year-old and potential future 65-year-olds to buy their insurance packages to be able to cover that other 20% of the cost. Now, in my case, I'm lucky, I suppose, because as a retired military officer, I currently have the TRICARE medical insurance program, which I started on when I turned 60, because as a reservist, I only became qualified for that program when I turned 60, because my 20-year of service was partly active duty and part reserve, drilling reserve. So anyway, the long and short of this is that there's a fierce competition within the insurance companies to try to win over as many 64-year-olds who will be turning 65 next year to get their business for this other 20% of the coverage. And given that my 20% is really covered by the TRICARE, well, it turned into what's something called TRICARE for Life program. Again, I'm pretty lucky in that sense, but there are some other subtle areas such as pharmacy or drug coverage, medications may or may not be covered, and that's something called Plan D. But again, I probably will wait until early next year to do a little bit more research on that. But the key here is that I'm finding myself in this situation while I was trying to do the research on how to develop more interesting, better videotaping, blogging content. I was drawn to all these different insurance companies, or even, I guess they are maybe individual consultants who have developed their own blogs to try to help this population. So to me, it's interesting how YouTube, again, may be something as mundane as how to start a garden, or how to start an organic garden, or how to repair. The other day, it snowed here, and our snowblower would not really work into gear, and I wasn't sure if it was missing oil or something like that. And just by going to YouTube and typing in the search block how to repair my snowblower, you instantly get any number of very helpful how to repair your snowblower videos. So in that spirit, I don't know that we can develop a how to get back to Sicily channel, or what is it really, who our potential target audience will be. But little by little, we are trying to develop a more focused effort to be able to, at the end of the day, increase our viewership and also make these videos interesting enough for potential viewers to tune in and, of course, subscribe and like us, click the like button, and try to follow along in our journey. So there are a lot of areas that we can explore, obviously. I've seen, and I think by the next video, I'm going to switch our videotaping efforts to doing something that I had mentioned in the last couple of videos, of imitating or following something I saw from the Juicy blog, which is the travel blog of Lucy D'Agostino and George Warrington, a young British couple who were planning to do a blog about their world travels, and then ended up mainly focusing on their stay in the Philippines now, ever since they were basically found themselves quarantined in the Philippines in the last 10 months or so, since last March. So I think that is something that we will look at. I think what I'll do, because we are this diverse family of Filipino, Chinese, British, Irish, and Sicilian, Italian background, it's almost difficult to try to identify from what perspective our channel will speak to our potential viewers. But I think what I will do initially is try, again, as I said earlier, to follow in that, at least make an initial attempt to see if we can capture some interest in the YouTube viewership with the reaction type of video coverage. So I'm going to make a list of Philippine-based bloggers. There are a number of them who are out there. In fact, I just recently found one blogger who actually identified a whole string of other Philippine-based bloggers. May they be doing travel blogs or food, covering different cuisines across the Philippines, or one category, of course, is again older American men who, for whatever reason, choose to go out to the Philippines and retire there. And many of them, of course, retire there on their Social Security checks alone, which is anywhere from, like me, $1,100 or under $1,500. And a lot of them, of course, if not all, can manage to live quite comfortably if they budget their finances, if they are prudent and careful with the way they spend their money. So that is probably the direction that we will move to beginning in our next blog, is that we will try to do the reaction, create something what we call the reaction series by the Back to Sicily channel, and in anticipation of what we can do in the future. Another one, of course, and I'm watching the analytics, I guess it's statistics, and one of our 8 video that we posted, it seems that Navy sea stories or stories about my time in the Navy seems to attract the highest number of viewers to date. So we'll test that out, and that's all we have for now. And again, we're trying to improve each blog with every uploads, and let's see what happens. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll continue the journey. Thank you again.